There are times when the most powerful voice is the one that speaks in silence. There's a woman listening right now who feels invisible, not because she lacks beauty, not because she lacks brilliance, but because she has no one standing beside her, and she wonders what she did wrong. But today I must speak to that woman. You who walk through life with no companion to call your own, you who celebrate in silence and cry where no one can see, you who are present in crowds yet feel like a stranger. They called you cold, distant, strange, but they never saw your heart break. They saw your strength and mistook it for pride. They saw your solitude and called it rejection. But I say this, you are not broken, you are being built. You see, history is not shaped by those who blend in, it is shaped by those who stand alone. There is a reason some women walk alone. It is not because they are unlovable, it is because they are too aware, too awakened, too discerning, too deep. A woman who has been betrayed enough times doesn't just become guarded, she becomes wise. And wisdom rarely finds company. I tell you, the world may not understand a woman with no friends, but heaven does. Because God often hides his strongest daughters, not to punish them, but to prepare them. In solitude you found what fake friendships could never offer. Truth, clarity, and vision. You have been learning to dance without applause, to win without witnesses, and to grow in soil no one thought could hold you. This is not your punishment, this is your elevation. Stay until the end of this message, because what I will share next may just rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. I will show you the hidden blessing in your isolation, the deep power in your silence, and why your destiny requires. Let the world question you, let them whisper, but today let you understand you. A woman with no friends is often judged by the shallow eyes of the world. They look at her and see what they think is loneliness, sadness, or social failure. They assume she has a bitter heart or a difficult personality. But what if I told you that her solitude is not a sign of weakness, but a monument of strength? What if her distance is not rejection, but protection? Society has trained us to measure worth by popularity, to value ourselves based on how many hands we can hold. But there are women who have discovered something far greater. They have learned the value of standing alone. They are not antisocial, they are anti-fake. They are not bitter, they are selective. They are not empty, they are full of discernment. And often that discernment came at a price. When a woman has been betrayed by those she trusted most, she doesn't just walk away from others, she walks deeper into herself. She begins to realize that not every smile is sincere, and not every hug is honest. And in that realization, she begins to shed the need for approval. That's not weakness, that's power. The kind of power that no friendship, no group, no validation from others could ever offer. She chooses silence because silence doesn't lie. She chooses her own company because in her own company she is never deceived. And that decision, though painful at first, becomes the foundation for something unshakable: inner peace. She walks into rooms with no need to impress. She observes instead of seeks attention. She listens more than she speaks, and because of that, her presence begins to carry a weight that others can feel but can't explain. She is not loud, yet she is powerful. She is not surrounded, yet she is seen. Her solitude becomes sacred ground, a place where she meets herself without the noise of others. And though the world may call her lonely, heaven calls her focused. Though people may misunderstand her, her spirit is never confused. She knows who she is becoming, she knows what she's protecting, and she knows that being alone is not the same as being lost. Because some women aren't hiding from people, they're rising above them. Many women without a circle are not bitter. They are healers, warriors, and deep thinkers who walk roads most never dare to tread. Their silence is not a weakness. It is a language only the wise understand. They do not speak often, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned that not every truth deserves an audience. These women have seen too much, felt too deeply, and endured too quietly. Their wounds taught them discretion. Their heartbreaks taught them wisdom. They have been the friend who gave everything, only to receive betrayal. They have been the listener, the helper, the fixer. until they realized they were surrounded by takers, who only came close to drain their light. So, they chose the hard road, the road of pulling away, the road of quiet strength. It was not easy. It was not glamorous, but it was necessary. They needed space to breathe, to heal, to understand who they were, apart from what others demanded from them. These women, in their quietness, began to see clearly. They could detect manipulation before it was spoken. They could feel energy before words were ever said. Their discernment sharpened in the fire of betrayal. Their wisdom deepened in the silence of solitude. And while others dance in circles of shallow smiles and empty connections, these women remain still, observant, focused. People often wonder why she doesn't join, why she doesn't laugh loud, why she doesn't cling to cliques. But what they don't know is she sees through it all. She knows the cost of forced friendship. She understands the price of misplaced loyalty. So instead of bending to fit in, she stands tall and waits for what is real. It takes courage to be this woman, to be misunderstood and still stand firm, to walk alone when companionship seems easier, to remain silent when gossip calls your name. But these women do not chase comfort, they chase peace. They do not hunger for attention, they hunger for truth. And in a world full of noise, they are the still, quiet ones who carry the greatest power, not because of who walks beside them, but because of who walks within them. Her isolation often began not by desire, but through betrayal, teaching her to trust her inner voice above all. She didn't wake up one day and decide to walk alone. Life decided that for her. The betrayal didn't come from strangers. It came from those she loved the most. The ones she laughed with, prayed with, confided in. The ones who promised to protect her and ended up wounding her the deepest. And in the aftermath of that pain, she realized something vital. People can speak love and still deliver poison. That realization changed her, not into someone bitter, but someone awake. Awake to the truth that not every smiling face is safe. Awake to the fact that sometimes the loudest voices cheering you on are also hoping you fall. That betrayal did something sacred inside her. It forced her to step back, not just from people, but from illusions. She stopped trying to be everywhere for everyone. She stopped trying to explain herself. She stopped handing out pieces of herself just to be accepted. The pain carved a new awareness into her soul, one that led her inward. She began to pay attention to her gut, her instincts, her spirit. And slowly she began to hear the voice she had ignored for so long, her own. In the absence of friends, she met herself. In the silence, she heard what the noise always drowned out: wisdom, peace, and truth. She began to trust her intuition more than opinions. She learned to sit with discomfort rather than chase distractions. She became a student of her own energy, and that energy, it told her what her eyes couldn't always see, who was for her and who only pretended to be. That is why she keeps her distance now, not out of pride, but out of protection. Because once you've been wounded deeply, you no longer walk blind. You scan the room, you watch patterns, you listen between the lines. This is not a woman who hates people, this is a woman who learned people. And because of what she's learned, she now moves differently. She knows how costly blind trust can be. So, she walks slowly, chooses carefully, speaks sparingly, and above all she listens to that inner voice that never lied to her, even when everyone else did. Solitude gives her something a crowd never could, the time and clarity to discover who she really is. When the noise of others falls away, when the invitations stop coming, and when the silence stretches long into the night, she is left with something far more valuable than company. She is left with herself. At first it feels like punishment, like being forgotten, but slowly something beautiful begins to unfold. Without the pressure to perform, without the need to please, without the constant distraction of opinions and demands, she starts to hear her own voice, not the voice shaped by fear, not the one molded by society, but the voice buried beneath it all, the one that was always there, whispering who she truly is. The world often tells women to be everything to everyone, to smile when they're tired, to give even when they're empty, to fit into boxes that were never shaped for their truth. But when a woman finds herself alone and stays there long enough, she begins to break those boxes. She begins to ask deeper questions. What do I want? What do I believe? What am I called to become? And slowly the answers begin to rise. Her identity is no longer tied to who accepts her. Her worth no longer rests on who invites her to the table. She builds her own table, and she fills it with purpose, not popularity. In solitude, she meets her dreams again, the ones she buried to keep others comfortable. She reconnects with her spirit, her gifts, her calling, and she begins to remember what she forgot while trying to belong. The loneliness becomes a mirror. It shows her who she is when no one's watching, and in that mirror she sees not a woman who lacks connection, but a woman being redefined by her own presence. She starts to walk differently, not in arrogance, but in clarity. Not in rebellion, but in alignment. The woman who once questioned her value begins to carry herself like someone who has finally seen it. This is the gift of walking alone, not just to survive without others, but to thrive with yourself, to build a life that doesn't depend on who stays or who leaves, to know your worth, even in the quiet. Because once she's met herself in the silence, she'll never again settle for being a stranger to her soul. She doesn't hate people, she has learned to read them, and that gift has kept her safe. At first glance, people may assume she's cold, distant, or too serious. They say she's guarded, hard to get close to, maybe even unfriendly. But what they don't realize is that she once gave her trust too freely. She once opened her heart without hesitation, only to watch it be mishandled by those who smiled to her face and gossiped behind her back. The lessons came hard and fast, so now she watches, not to judge, but to protect. Over time, she developed a quiet skill, one that can't be taught in books or schools. It came through experience, through the slow realization that not every "I love you" is true, not every "I'm here for you" is permanent, and not every friend is sent by God. Now, when she enters a room, she doesn't seek attention, she scans the atmosphere. She feels the tension others try to hide. She picks up on tone, on body language, on silence between words. She notices who shows up when she's doing well and who disappears when she's not. It's not paranoia, it's discernment, and it has saved her from repeating old wounds. She can see the difference between someone who's genuine and someone who's just curious, between someone who claps for her and someone who competes with her. And because of that clarity, she no longer entertains what doesn't feel right. She doesn't chase validation. She doesn't beg for inclusion. If the energy feels off, she withdraws. If the smile feels forced, she steps back. Not because she's bitter, but because she honors her peace. This level of awareness often isolates her. People don't like being seen too clearly. They get uncomfortable when someone sees beyond the surface, so they may avoid her, label her, even talk about her. But none of that matters. She's not trying to be popular, she's trying to be aligned. She's trying to protect what took years to rebuild. Her trust, her confidence, her purpose. And so she walks through life with a quiet radar. She speaks when it's safe, she gives when it's real, she loves when it's mutual, and through it all she keeps listening to that inner voice that whispers, "You're not wrong for noticing, you're wise for walking away." Many women with no friends are being separated for preparation, because where they're going not everyone can follow. It is a difficult reality to face, but it is also a powerful one. Some women are not meant to remain in the circles they once occupied. Their journeys are too unique, their purpose too specific, and the path they must walk too challenging for the crowd to keep pace. The isolation they experience is not punishment or failure. It is a form of preparation, a divine shaping of their lives for what is to come. The world often associates friendship with success, believing that true happiness lies in numbers. More people, more celebrations, more moments shared. But sometimes God calls certain women into solitude because He has greater plans that no one else can understand or walk with them through. It is a lonely process, yes, but it is necessary. These women are not being cast aside. They are being set apart for something extraordinary. Their future demands a focus that cannot be diluted by the opinions and distractions of others. The more they are isolated, the clearer their vision becomes. They begin to see the grand picture in front of them, a vision that requires strength, resolve, and the courage to stand alone when necessary. They may not understand why friends have drifted away, why the invitations to social gatherings no longer come, or why others can't seem to keep up, but as they continue on their journey, they will come to realize that the space they now find themselves in is not a void. It is a sacred preparation ground. The friends who remain will be those who align with their true purpose, who respect their growth, and who can walk with them in the next phase of their life's calling. These are the relationships that will nourish them, not drain them, and the ones who fall away, they were never meant to follow them to the heights they are destined for. Solitude in these moments is not a curse. It is an invitation to become the woman who can lead, create, and influence without needing to seek approval. It is the time for transformation, when a woman's true strength, wisdom, and calling are forged in the fire of solitude. The isolation is not permanent, but it is profound. It is the preparation for the next chapter in her life, one that will be bigger, bolder, and more impactful than anything she could have imagined when she was trying to fit into spaces that didn't serve her. The journey is long, and not everyone will be able to keep up. But those who will stand by her in the end will be those who truly understand her purpose, because they were always meant to walk this road alongside her. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to understand this truth. A woman with no friends is not a woman defeated. She is a woman in preparation. The world may try to define her by her solitude, but she is not defined by what others see on the surface. She is not weak, she is not lost. She is simply walking a path that requires a different pace, a different level of awareness, and a different kind of strength. The pain of betrayal, the wisdom of solitude, and the clarity of discernment are all part of her journey. They are the tools she carries as she continues to grow, as she continues to become the woman she was always meant to be. And though it may feel lonely at times, this space is not wasted. It is the ground in which her true self is being cultivated, the place where her purpose is being refined. She is not waiting for a crowd to define her worth. She is carving her own path, one that in time will reveal its true value to the world. So, to every woman who feels unseen, misunderstood, or alone, know this: you are not isolated by accident, you are being set apart for something greater. Trust the process, trust your journey. You are not walking alone, you are walking toward your destiny, and not everyone is meant to accompany you on that road. The friends who will walk beside you are the ones who will understand the greatness that is being formed within you, and when the time comes, those who are meant to be part of your story will find their way back, or perhaps will come into your life for the first time. Do not fear the solitude, embrace it. For in the quiet, you are being prepared to rise, and when you rise, you will rise as the woman you were always meant to be. Strong, empowered, and unshakable. Thank you.